You're watching Saturday Anime on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Greetings, this is Reverend Paul, and this is Raw. Now, in the 6th episode of Chainsaw Man, Denji, Aki, Power, and the rest of Division 4 find themselves trapped on the 8th floor in this hotel. If they go up the stairs, they're still on the 8th floor. If they go down the stairs, they're still on the 8th floor. Even if they leave the hallway, go into one of the rooms, and climb out the window, they will still just end up back in the hotel. So since everybody is pretty much trapped, they all kind of deal with it in their own way. Aki tries to figure out a solution to the problem. Arai starts off helping Aki, then he ends up having a panic attack. Kobeni is just freaked out all the time, and Denji passes out while Power plans to win the Nobel Prize. So it turns out that the team has been lured and trapped in this hotel by the Eternity Devil. And the Eternity Devil tells them if they kill Denji, he will let them go. But Himeno and Aki are like, no, you can't kill Denji because that's what the devils want. Plus, we are devil hunters. We do not kill people. But unfortunately, Kobeni succumbs to the pressure and tries to kill Denji. But Denji is heroically saved by Aki. And it is at this moment Denji decides to step up. And he realizes that the only way he is going to get out of there and save his friends is by facing the Eternity Devil head on. Now, the past couple of videos I've been talking mainly about Power and Denji, but I think it's about time we talk about Aki. These past couple of episodes have been giving us more detail about Aki's backstory. We learned that as a boy, he lost his family to the Gun Devil, and we learned that it was Himeno that taught Aki how to be a devil hunter. In fact, I think you could say that Aki pretty much based a lot of his personality off of Himeno. Like Himeno, Aki has a smoking habit, and he has a contract with the demon that requires giving up a part of his body. He also has classic hero qualities like selflessness and loyalty. In this episode, when Kobeni tries to kill Denji, Aki jumps in the way. Now, Aki says he's doing this because he needs Denji to kill the Gun Devil, which is true, but I also think Aki is a dude who's going to do what he can to help everyone. And in the flashback sequence, we see what a loyal friend Aki is to Himeno. Because after Himeno was confronted and attacked by a family member of her former partner that blamed Himeno for the partner's death, Aki runs up and puts gum on this person's clothes, which was a nice gesture Aki did for his friend. But I do have to say, Aki doesn't know the circumstances of Himeno's partner's death. For all he knows, Himeno's partner could have been allergic to Pez, and then for his birthday, Himeno made him drink 100 Pez-flavored ales. I don't know, maybe his death was 100% Himeno's fault, but that does not matter to Aki, because Aki will stand by his friend. I think there's definitely an argument to be made that Aki is more badass than Denji. Because Aki doesn't have awesome Chainsaw Man powers, but he is still determined to get revenge on the Gun Devil. He is a man who will do whatever it takes to avenge his family. Now, I mentioned before that Chainsaw Man is pretty much a story about fear. And Denji and Chainsaw Man is kind of this metaphor for taking power over fear. And in contrast, Aki could be looked at as somebody who's become consumed by fear and has chose to deal with that fear with this quest for revenge. And it's interesting when you think about the fact that all of the contracts Aki has with the other devils are literally ripping away pieces of him. Every time he uses Kan, he loses a part of his body. Anytime he uses the sword, he will lose time off of his life. It's almost as if the story is trying to tell us that Aki's quest for revenge is tearing him to pieces. And if he keeps going down this path, eventually there will be nothing of him left. And you can't help but wonder if maybe Aki knows this himself, and that's why he is a badass, because even though he knows that the odds are against him, he will do whatever it takes to kill the Gun Devil. He is still pushing forward. Now, I've also mentioned before that Chainsaw Man reminds me a lot of Devilman, and similar to Chainsaw Man, Devilman is also a story that has fear as a central theme. And the reason I bring up Devilman is because this fight sequence that is about to take place with the Eternity Devil kind of reminds me of the fight sequence between Devilman and the demon Gene-Men. Like the Eternity Devil, Gene-Men is made up of a bunch of faces, but instead of being a giant blob of fleshy faces, Gene-Men is a demon turtle that has people's faces on his shell. And the faces of the people on Gene-Men's shell are actually the faces of the people he kills. Every time he fucking kills a person, their fucking body is absorbed and their face appears on the back of his shell. And every time Devilman tries to fight Gene-Men, he turns around and hides hides behind the screaming faces of his victims. And those screaming faces are what forces Devilman to retreat. Now, the way Devilman eventually is able to kill Gene-Men is by realizing that he has to ignore the screaming faces and just fucking kill Gene-Men, because as soon as this fucking demon is dead, everybody will be out of their misery. Gene-Men's greatest weapon was doubt. He hid behind the faces of his victims to make Devilman believe if he were to attack Gene-Men, he would cause more suffering to the faces. But all this essentially was Gene-Men gaslighting Devilman into thinking there was no way he could kill him. Now, I know that seems like a tangent, but the reason I bring this up is because I feel like the Eternity Devil is similar to Gene-Men because, like Gene-Men, doubt is his greatest weapon. And the way to ultimately beat him will be to confront that doubt. Now, you are probably wondering what Kobeni is even doing on this team, because from the moment the team gets into this hotel, Kobeni is basically Principal McVicker from Beavis and Butthead. She is a fucking complete bundle of nerves, and it seems pretty clear to everybody she is unqualified. But what I think this is showing us is how desperate the public safety devil hunters are. They'll basically take everybody, even people who have no business being fucking devil hunters. I do have to say, I am kind of disappointed in Denji, because when given the chance to do anything he wanted with Eternity, he chose to sleep in the bed. I mean, look, I enjoy sleeping in a comfortable hotel bed as much as the next person, but how could you want to do that when your other choice is wrestling with Power? Plus, I want to hear more of Power's great policy ideas for when she becomes Prime Minister. I think her 100% sales tax idea is a great way to stimulate the economy. I also feel like when Power is wrestling people, she probably uses the Taz mission as a finisher. I don't know why, I just get the impression that she does. I also think the flashback sequences of Himeno and Aki, both in this episode and the previous episode, did an effective job in setting up their relationship. Himeno met Aki after losing a partner, and Aki met Himeno after losing his family. I feel like the flashbacks have that same quality the flashbacks in Cowboy Bebop has, where they don't necessarily give you a lot of information, but they give you enough information for you to kind of fill in the gaps yourself. And I love the scene when Himeno sees Aki bleeding and her whole cool demeanor breaks, and she has this moment of realization that she might be losing another partner. And you see how vulnerable she really is. I think moments like that bring a lot of humanity to the characters. And I think you could definitely say that even though Chainsaw Man has some pretty ridiculous characters with some ridiculous motivations, the characters are not one-dimensional. Even Power, who is completely over the top, exhibits a complete range of human emotions. So we are 6 episodes in, and we are halfway through the first season of Chainsaw Man. And so far, I think it's been pretty cool. I think it's lived up to the hype so far. But I would be interested in hearing other people if they are disappointed. If there are any negative opinions out there, I'd love to hear them. So far, I think the animation has been great, and despite a couple of minor changes, this is a very faithful adaptation of the manga. This week's episode was a little bit of a slow burn, but next week, Chainsaw Man will be back, and I am looking forward to finally seeing the face-off between Chainsaw Man and the Eternity Devil.